So, how's everything been since the changeover?
Good. I mean, I was with a cloud brokerage
Hmm.
for like 6 years
Hmm.
before I joined Platinum and Pearson, and then I went with Platinum to Real, and Real is different but same in terms of like kind of the way they're structured.
Hmm.
So it wasn't really like a big deal to me.
Much of a change. Okay.
I mean,
And I see you
so
guys have a lot of community events. You guys are always getting together for different,
yeah,
or at least
yeah.
the real.
Yeah, I mean, I was an individual agent for 6 years, and being on a team is definitely nice in terms of you as an agent. I think you can start to feel a little bit like
Lonely.
lonely and like on an island by yourself. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes it is very nice to be on a team so that you have camaraderie, you have people you can ask questions to,
Yeah.
just hang out. So it's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. In terms of how you got into real estate, what's that story? Like, what were you doing before real
Okay.
estate?
I've done a lot of things. So
So
out
lots
of
of experience doing things.
for all kinds of things. No, out of college, I was doing an internship, and then they hired me, and I worked at the Fairfax Symphony Orchestra for like 2 years.
Wait, what were you doing there?
I was like not doing music. I
Okay.
was in
I was like, wait a
the
second.
back end of like that, like all the administrative type stuff, green rooms, all the stuff you need to do to on the back end, business wise. And then I moved to the Madeira School, and I
Okay.
worked at the Madeira School for I think two
What'd you do
years.
there?
I was in the offices, and I'm trying to think. I had a huge summer program there, so I did all the summer program stuff, and then I helped with like the HR stuff
Okay.
within the school.
So more like administrative, keeping things
Yes,
organized.
yes. And then randomly, I went and worked for a government contractor, small business contractor, and then I did recruiting, project management, stuff like that. Then had kids, stayed home, and then I managed some properties for those same people for
Okay.
about a year. They had about, I want to say 5 or 6 residential and 1 or 2 commercial.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it started with the real estate. So I was doing that part-time-ish. My kids were teeny, teeny, tiny still. So I didn't want to do full-blown job, but I wanted something to do because I was needed to do something with my brain.
Yeah.
And then I was just thinking maybe I should just get my real estate license. I don't really know why, but I'm just going to do it. And I did all the courses from home, at night when the kids were sleeping
Yeah.
for like 6 months. And then I just took the test. And then I was like, well, maybe I will just do this. So really, that's how it all came
So a
about.
lot of it came from, well, maybe, and you just kind of like
Yes,
taking advantage of the different
right.
opportunities that were
I was
presented.
just trying to find my thing,
Yeah.
I think. And I think I realized I just wanted to work for myself. I worked for people. I worked for some lovely people. I've worked for some people that were more difficult. And I just really wanted I like things to do things my way too. So I think there's some of that. And I totally will admit that
Yeah.
flaw. So, I mean, as a business owner, it is, can be stressful, but it's also nice that you have your own thing, you're your own boss, and you can do the ways things you want to do them.
I'll say, how has that been with balancing being a mom, being a business owner, having 15 different bosses, aka clients? Like, how do you put boundaries in place to help you manage?
So I would say in the beginning I was not good about that, but my kids were also very small. So I would say the first few years I wasn't like totally into it because I was still their primary caregiver. They weren't in elementary school yet. So I was doing real estate, but not like really, I would say full time. Then as the years progressed, I was really working harder at it. And I didn't have boundaries. I think too, you're a little bit hungry when you first start out. Like, sure, a random Mr. Bob guy, I'll show you a house, even though you really haven't committed to working with me, and then you realize you just wasted a bunch of time on someone that wasn't serious. So I think that comes with just learning and becoming better in your craft and realizing that, okay, I need to be better at this in terms of, really qualifying people and just making sure they're there to work with me and not just waste my time, because at the end of the day, time is the most important thing you have. And, I don't just drop things a dime to just run and show a house to some random person. I mean, obviously, if there's an emergency, I of course help people, but it's more of, okay, this is when I'm available. This is when I can meet you. No, I can't meet you, at 5 o'clock. I already have an appointment, and it's okay. Like everybody, no matter if you're an agent or a lawyer or you work in the service industry, we all have other commitments too, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think when I first started, I didn't realize that, and I was kind of running ragged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. And it's almost like you need to get burned so many times until you're like, wait, something's not working.
Yes. Yes. And I'm not saying that occasionally, even now, sometimes people will let you down, but it's not a thing that happens often, because you learn what questions to ask.
Qualify people.
Yeah, and I think too, honestly, kind of sometimes in this industry, you have to trust your gut instincts too.
What do you mean?
If something doesn't feel right or too good to be true, or it just doesn't feel right, it probably isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
We get those
yeah.
photographers. We get these like little scams that will message our business line, and it's like, "Hi, sir slash madam, looking for a photographer for my reunion. We'll send over $15,000 prepayment beforehand."
Of course.
And I've got my coordinator that's like, "Is this a real thing?" I'm like, "No, it's not."
No, if only, right? I wish it was. No, I can't even tell you how many texts and calls our industry gets. It's scam, but also just someone trying to sell you something. And I think that's important too. The shiny object syndrome, like, oh, well, this shiny object will get me more clients because they offer, X, Y, and Z. And then you sign up and then you just spent, several grand on something that really is not going to get you what
It's
you
not
need.
as shiny as you thought it looked.
Because it really is about relationships, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of relationships, how do you bring in clients? How do you grow your business and your...
Well, I would say most of mine is either people I know or referrals.
Okay.
Or past people who I've worked with in the past to buy or sell a home.
Okay.
So, because I actually do like almost all of the people I've worked with, I have liked. I mean, obviously, occasionally you have someone like, wow, that was fun.
Yeah.
But
You're like, wow, I learned a lot.
yes,
right?
Right. But I mean, I really do. And like, I have a lot of families. Sometimes they're families. Sometimes they're going on to the next fun chapter where they're, downsizing and traveling. Sometimes they're just buying their first home. So it's a really mixed bag of where people are in their life. But I like them and enjoy them, and I keep in touch with them, and I send them cards, and I email them, and take them little gifts and things like that. So and it's not just because I don't want to. I mean, I want to do those things. I want to be involved because it's about relationships, and that's kind of a lot of what real estate is.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to be an extrovert to necessarily sell real estate, because I wouldn't say I'm a huge extrovert, but I think you have to do in some way like people.
Yeah.
and enjoy them, not just during the process, but get to know them.
Well, so you do marketing too, though. I've seen your social media.
Okay.
You do like video content and you do photo content. And
but it's a stretch for me.
yeah,
I mean, I have to really be like, okay, today's the day. You're going to record something. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to not be great, and that's okay. Just post it. I mean, really.
That's the ticket, though.
Yeah, I mean,
just do it.
And I think too, you do see a lot of people, whether it's this industry or another industry, their stuff is good, but then you have to remind yourself, a lot of those people too are paying people to help
They've got
them.
a team.
Right. And that's great too. I think if that's where you're at, or if that's what you're comfortable with. But when you do it by yourself, which not with the housing, with the marketing, when I have a house or a listing, obviously I hire someone to do that. But just the little videos on camera, I do them. And, it's okay. Like, as long as it's there, I've done it.
And a lot of it is content too. If you're giving good quality content, nobody cares if it was filmed on a $20,000 camera or if it was filmed on a, $1,000 iPhone. That's right.
My iPhone that probably needs to be updated, to be honest.
But as long as the content is there and you're providing quality
Yeah.
information and it's a good use of somebody's time to listen, and nobody's going to care.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest part, finding
Yeah.
content. And then you're like, nobody cares about that. I'm not going to post that.
But they do.
But
right?
then you just do it. And then everything you watch and stuff like you post, all the different marketing people out there, just do it. Just do it.
Yes.
Like, don't be afraid.
Exactly.
And I think people obviously get more used to it as they do it. But I think definitely there's people that are really good at it. And people that you could tell, oh, they're nervous. Like me, I watch them and like I feel like I look nervous or I'm like kind of struggling, but that's okay.
I was going to ask you, how did it feel when you first started versus now? Like, has
It's
it gotten
better.
easier?
I mean, I've definitely gone back, scrolled like way back on Instagram and Facebook and watched things I did, 4 years ago. And I'm like, gosh, that was cringy.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
Same.
I'll say the same,
you look
3
back,
years
yeah.
from now. Because who really, I can't imagine people really enjoy watching themselves.
What do I say
a
to you,
video.
Lil, for
Yeah.
all my videos when I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, I don't even want to listen. I don't want to watch
You're
it.
your own worst critic.
Yeah.
So, I didn't pronounce that correctly. Oh, I kind of slurred my word there.
Or just the sound
my
of my
eye
voice.
looks lazy there. Oh, my hair's sticking up. Like,
And nobody else
all
sees
of the
any of that
things
stuff.
that you can think of, but really, are people noticing that? I don't know. I don't think so.
until
I
you
don't
get the
think people
comments.
care. I think we think they care more than they do, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Until somebody is like, wow, your lips look crusty. Like, nobody is going to care about,
Yeah. I mean, they could be thinking that. I don't know, but they're never going to tell me. So, ignorance is bliss, I guess.
And when they do, that's how you know you're getting big enough to where complete strangers are commenting on your videos.
Giving you negative feedback.
Right?
I don't think I've gotten there yet. So I need to keep
working
trying.
on it until you get a couple of those hater comments. Then you're like, okay, I'm making it now.
Yes.
That's what I tell myself, at least. So
that's difficult if you get those hater comments. I mean, I don't think I
they're
have.
strangers. That's the whole point. Is they're strangers. They don't know you. It's no context. There's either jealousy or there's just plain out trolls. So
I'm sure that's still tough for people.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not famous enough to have haters.
Keep posting, and one day you'll get those troll comments too.
That's the goal.
In terms of growing your business, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh my gosh. So I asked if I could have like a list of questions before it started, and they were like, no. I'm like,
It's
great.
conversational.
I know.
Like, you could literally be like, I have no freaking idea. We'll see where I end up.
So in 5 years, I'll have one child already graduated in college.
Is that exciting? Or are you like,
yes, and
dreading?
no. It's so bittersweet.
Okay.
Kids growing up is bittersweet. But I don't think you realize it's bittersweet until you get through like the elementary school age.
Yeah.
Because elementary school, they're still little, they still want you, they still need you, they're still, it's just different, right? But they also still need you a lot, and you're always on call. You always have to watch them. You always have to make sure they're, brushing their teeth, things like that. But when you kind of get to that teenage years, they're self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, to a point. I mean, their clothes are still everywhere and, not cleaning up their rooms, but they can get themselves dressed. They get off to school.
Yeah.
They do their homework. You don't have, they're their own people now, and they're figuring out their own way. And so they don't need you as much in that regard, except for when they need a ride.
Yes, all the time.
So I think that's when it becomes bittersweet, because you realize I've already had a lot of last times with them.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then, in 3 years, my daughter will graduate, but my son is in 8th grade. So in 5 years, he will be graduating and go off to college. So I will be essentially an empty nester.
You're like, I'll be a wreck at home. That's what I'll be doing.
And I think initially I will, but the question is, what am I going to do with all my free time? Because now, if I'm not working,
going to visit them, duh.
If I'm not working, yeah, or maybe occasionally doing something fun with friends or someone, I'm doing something for them, right?
Yeah.
So what is that going to look like? And we haven't had time without children, and by then it'll be 21 years. So I don't remember what I did with my free time 21 years
You'll
ago.
be figuring out like who you
Right.
are.
So I think a lot of 5 years from now will be a lot of that. Like,
Yeah.
what hobbies can I do? What, as far as work is related, I mean, I hope to still be working. My goal is to always help 18 to 20 families a year. More is great, but
Yeah.
I work on my own, meaning although I'm part of a team,
Yeah.
our team is different and cool in the way that you can be your own person. So you can, if you want to use, different colors, as long as you have the logo, you can market yourself the way you feel comfortable, which I love. So I don't have necessarily an assistant. Which is not necessarily a good thing, but again, the control part of me comes out. So I do kind of everything myself. So I tend to only like that 18 to 20 clients a year just because I can manage that myself. I think once you get past that point, you kind of have to start.
Have a little bit of a team.
Yeah, a team with just administrative work, really. So.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. It's more of I need to let go of the control aspect of it.
Or do you want to? Or do you
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And there have been times where I've parts where all of a sudden everybody at once wants to sell or buy and I get busy and can bring a transaction coordinator on to do a few files for me. But in general, I will process all that myself.
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes when things are crazy at the studio, crazy meaning we're busy, but then something's off with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm now having to play HR or trainer or, and it gets crazy. I just sit here thinking it would be so much simpler if I was just a one person show again. Like I
Right.
dream about,
Right.
I love you, Lil. It's never you. Okay. But you do think about that. Like, gosh, things were simpler in the beginning where if there was a mess up, it's because I did it and I get to 100% control it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, I am so grateful for my team and
Yeah.
it's amazing to be able to look at the schedule and be like, okay, I'm only coming in on Wednesdays and Fridays for these amazing podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else, the team is 100% handling,
Yeah. I mean, it sounds great. I mean, how could you not like that? No, I get it. And I think that it really depends on the person and what their goals are. I mean, I've even been to conferences with agents who do crazy amount of business. And one girl was like, I don't know, something like I sell 40 million, dollars of real estate a year. And I do it all by myself. I don't have an assistant. And everybody was like, what?
Do you sell $5 million homes?
Yeah, like you have no assistant.
Yeah.
And then you hear of people who do the same and they're like, oh no, I have a transaction, I have this. So I really just think it depends on the person and their comfort level. I mean, sometimes people don't really like, managing people. So that's maybe not their thing. So
100%, yeah.
it really just depends, I think. And honestly, I feel like I am more, the busier I am, the better I am. Meaning I get more done when I'm busy. If I'm
Of course, because you're a mom.
if I'm slow, I actually become lazy and I do less stuff.
Same.
But and I know that sounds crazy, but if I'm like slammed, I feel like I can just knock out things.
Yeah.
It's such a weird brain.
When I have a
mind
weekend
thing
off,
that goes
like
on.
nothing, and the kids are with their dad, I'm like so lazy and I'm so disappointed at how much didn't get done. Versus like when the kids are with me and I've got like things to do, I'll get all those things done plus fit in like 5 extra projects.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
insane.
know it is. I mean, but I do think that sometimes it's good to have a weekend where you just watch Netflix and maybe go shopping. You know, I think that that's good for everybody, no matter who you are.
True.
Just, you do need those breaks.
True.
Because I think living around here, it's a little bit of a rat race, and kids doing a billion things. You're trying to do a billion things. And then sometimes you're like, I just need today not to do anything. So that's okay too. But I think when work gets slow, you do kind of have that like, oh, okay, now I feel like I'm not doing enough. And it's hard to get that momentum going. So
do you have a morning routine? Like a special morning routine?
I'm not a morning person.
feel like I get up at 11, Aaliyah.
Oh, I wish. No, I actually don't sleep super late, but I'm not a morning, but I don't get, I'm not a, oh, I get up at 4 a.m. and I write my journal and I have my coffee and I exercise. I want to be that person. Like if someone said, well, there's something you want to change about yourself, that would be it. I have tried it. I hate it. I hate
Miserable,
it.
huh?
It makes me miserable. I'm like, why am I doing something that's supposed to make me like be more productive and happy? And I'm just kind of just miserable. So no, I am not. I don't have a huge morning routine right now. My biggest rule is because I only have 3 more years with my daughter before she's off doing college or whatever, wherever life takes her, and only 5 more years with my son. Is that in the mornings, even though they do not need my help, they probably don't care, that I make sure I'm okay. Do you have your lunch? Do you have this? Even if I just sit there while they eat and they don't speak, that's okay. I am present.
Yeah.
So that is really my goal right now, my mornings. I mean, obviously, I check my emails and I'll start a little laundry. Sometimes if they're still showering, I'll take a quick walk, like
Yeah.
things like that. But I don't have a strict, like, this is everything I want to get done before 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I just was like, that's my priority. And then I just sprinkle in what needs to be, I want to get going for that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like such a nice morning routine.
I mean, I feel like when I say it, people are like, oh, she's lazy, but I'm not lazy.
No.
I'm actually, I wish I could be more of a night owl, but I think with life right now, it doesn't allow me to stay up but so late.
Yeah.
And my husband gets up early to work out. So he's really great. He goes at like 5:45. So he's a morning person.
Yeah.
But and he's like, you should get up and go too. I'm like, I should. You're right. Like, I totally should, but I don't.
Yeah. No, I think
So,
it's great. I think
yeah.
it's great because you've got your priorities and you work on that, and
Mhm.
and everyone's got their routine that helps them become the most productive person.
Yeah.
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 No,
So,
you just gave permission to people though that don't have that morning routine to be like, okay, it's okay.
it's okay. Like, you don't have to, not, and there's plenty of people who are very successful that don't get up at 4 a.m. You don't have
100%.
to get up at 4 a.m. to be successful.
That's
I
right.
mean,
I agree.
yeah. This is what I tell myself.
Okay, so in terms of before we wrap things up, is there anything in your life that's happened where it's helped shaped you to be who you are today? Or anything that you learned, aka like I always say learn like something bad's happened, right? And I'm like, oh, I
Well,
learned
kind of,
what?
that's how you learn when something bad happens, unfortunately. I think for me, so I've had major health issues in the past. So I think a, not that it was a good thing at the time, but I think what it taught me that is your health is one of the most important things you can have. And that it taught me to be a little bit more empathetic or sympathetic to people, because I think as we all get very busy, everybody has something going on in their life, but sometimes they don't share it. I mean, I didn't even share some of the things I was going through with people, so they didn't know. But I think now when people tell me something, I'm like, that sucks. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Can I take you to coffee? You want to go do something just to get your mind off of it? Whereas before, not that I wouldn't have felt empathy or sympathetic for their situation, I just might not have acknowledged it, if that makes sense.
100%.
So I think I did not like going through that, but I think that it made me realize your health and, being empathetic to someone or sympathetic based on what they have going on in their life is really important. And I think, unfortunately, I think I was telling my husband this, we were talking about this the other day. I think that's lacking in general in society right now, which kind of stinks.
What do you mean?
So I think overall, and I don't think people mean it to be that way, but I just think we all are so busy and so wrapped up that we sometimes, I'm still guilty of it, don't take a step back and like look at what's going on with their neighbor, their friend, or whoever is in their life to realize, oh gosh, I think they actually need some help, whatever that may be.
And I don't mean to blame it on social media, but I think social media has a big play in that because I feel like I know everything about everybody by doing a quick scroll on Facebook. But here's the thing, nobody actually shares what's going on in their life.
Mostly it's the happy stuff, right? I mean,
Correct.
occasionally people will say, I just want to let you know, I have cancer, things like that. But I think for the most part, we're all sharing the happy things because,
100%.
I mean, nobody really wants to go online and share, all the awful things that are happening to them. And I think too, like just social media in general has made us disconnect a little bit.
Yeah.
Because when you read about it versus your friend telling it to you to your face, it's a whole lot different.
Or if you agree,
You can see the look on their face. You can
or if
see
they're
that
trying to hide
their eyes are
something,
watery.
what's really going on. Yeah.
Whereas if they just text it to you, you might be like, "Oh, that stinks," but you don't realize how much it's affecting them because you haven't heard their voice or you haven't seen them in person.
I agree.
Yeah, social media is definitely. I have a love-hate relationship with it personally. I think if I didn't do what I did, I wouldn't be on social media.
Same.
Yeah.
I actually really hate for all of my touting about how great it is for business.
I mean, I think there are some wonderful things. I think
Agreed.
we have so many resources now and we know what's going on with the world but sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, and I think the younger kids it's really tough for because I think they've gotten on it too soon, and I think it's not necessarily a great thing for them. I wish, honestly, there was a law, which I know there can't be a law about this, but like nobody under 16 can be on social media.
Well, they need to know what life is like without social media. We know what it's like without social media.
I know what it's like without even have a cell phone.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids still can't grasp that. Well, you played video games. I'm like, we had like a Nintendo.
Right.
And you had the cart. I mean, it was like a whole thing. It's not like what you are experiencing.
Yeah.
And I was like, cell phone? I think I had a cell phone my freshman year of college. And it was like the huge, flip out one. Yeah. I was like, you could call and text. That was like the extent of it.
It was like fancy when your parent got a car that had the phone in it. Did you guys ever
we never even had that.
The old style phone.
What you're talking about though. No, we weren't that fancy. But and I just, I tried to, tell my kids we didn't even have internet. I mean, there was a dial-up thing I think my friend had my senior year, but we didn't have it at our house. It wasn't a thing. Yeah. That was like 96, 97.
Remember AOL?
Yes. Did you see they knocked it down? It's crazy.
I heard it. What are they putting out there? A data center? Yeah, that's what I didn't see it.
I know.
I heard it though.
Yeah, it's like a whole, I think, a data campus there.
Okay. Yeah, it's
the end of an era. Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
This was fun.
Easy though, right? Conversation.
It was easy.
Got it.
Yes.